audible. It's live stream. You've already started live streaming it.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay, just got it. So it's now online.
Okay, sir.
Job is done.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Hello.
So, Janine, like, who is live streaming it right now?
live stream can video ba matlab
Hello?
Yeah.
one second.
Can you just check?
hello ba once again I'll call my uncle and I'll get back to you.
Hello.
Okay.
Jinesh,
ba
live link I've shared in the chat box. Can you just check whether it's working? So you are live on YouTube now.
Yeah, it's working, sir. It's working, sir. We are live, sir.
Okay. And whom should I make the host? Hello.
Sir, I will be the host, sir.
Naren, right? One second.
Yes, sir.
I have made you the host. You can make one or two more co-hosts so that even if there is some disruption, the link will not get disconnected.
Okay, sir. Sure, sir.
Okay. So I'll exit the meeting now. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Anna, like, are you able to connect to a live streaming?
Yes, sir. I can see the live streaming right now.
Okay, so is it looking like you got all the options?
See, like, go to the page, like someone in this, like, I don't know, someone, you guys, someone go, exit this meet and like, see if the live is started there.
Yeah, and I'll check and come back.
Audio la கேக்குதா பாருடா.
பாக்கறேன்.
Okay, da, bye.
Anna, can we share the participants link now?
Just a minute, Ra. Just a minute, Ra. Just a minute, Ra.
Hello?
Yes, Ronnie.
Yeah, Jinan, it's really audible now. The live is working. So I guess we can go through.
See, Anna, once again. Anna?
Yes, Ra.
Oh, it's working now.
நான் கேக்குதுண்ணா லைவ்ல.
சூப்பரா சூப்பரா. நான் இப்போ வந்து ப்ரொஃபசர்ஸ்க்கு நான் லிங்க் அனுப்பிச்சு விடுறேன்டா, ப்ளஸ் நீங்க பசங்களுக்கும் அனுப்பிச்சு விடுங்க. ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணிடுங்க.
ஓகேண்ணா. So ஓகேண்ணா.
See, share this link in the main group also, Youth Parliament event, and share it in all the personal groups also. That is,
I mean, which link? YouTube link or this link?
YouTube link வந்து மெயின் குரூப்ல அனுப்பிடலாம்ண்ணா. இந்த லிங்க் வந்து
YouTube link வந்து ஆனா NSS group
reps groupல போடு. reps groupல போடு.
reps groupல YouTube link அனுப்பு. Zoom link வந்து மட்டும் இந்த மெயின் குரூப்ல போடலாம். Youth Parliament event and ruling party opposition party.
ராணிக் யூத் பார்லிமெண்ட் ஈவென்ட்ல நான் நீ போட்டுறேன். நாமே இது ரெப்ஸ் குரூப்ல நான் போட்டுறேன்.
ஓகேண்ணா.
நான் ப்ரொஃபசர்ஸ் காமிச்சிட்டேன்டா. வரேன்.
அண்ணா
அண்ணா நான் நரேனா
சொல்ற அது சொல்.
பார்ட்டிசிபென்ட்ஸ்க்கும் ஷேர் பண்ணிடலாம்லண்ணா?
பண்ணிடுறேன்.
ஓகே
அண்ணா one thing அண்ணா அண்ணா you make yourself as the host na because my uncle said in live his
Yeah, but I'm the host. Like there are two Narens. Can you see that?
no but the name is being reflected as Adesh Kumar only.
Yeah, because I logged into your accounts, right? Your like uncle's account, right?
Okay, like otherwise make your this account as host na Narena na this one.
Why na?
Your
Why? Is there any problem?
no, it's like my uncle said like will college won't have any problem if his name is being reflected in the YouTube link because in
No.
live
What problem will be there?
no like will college won't have any problem like his name is being reflected in the YouTube live in the sense the where all the participants are there na.
Okay, like when I make myself a host, will there be any problem?
No.
I mean, okay, if the live won't be interrupted, then I will definitely change.
Okay, just a second. You just one second. One second, just a second now.
Yeah.
Hello, Anna.
Yes.
Anna, my uncle said just try to turn like can we turn on a video for 1 second so that his name like in YouTube live it's showing the Adesh Kumar and with his photo that will be removed. So can we just turn on video for 1 second and check YouTube live?
Yeah, you want me to turn on my video?
Not yourself alone, like everyone now.
Okay, sure. Wait. Yeah.
बा भी बरोबर है कई बा.
Morning, ma'am.
Morning, Naren and everyone. So once it is set, I'll send the link to others also. And Sudha ma'am will also be waiting for the link. So you tell me when you are ready, okay, Naren?
Yes, ma'am. Sure, ma'am.
Narena?
Yes, Resta. There is a lag I can see now. Right.
Just a second. Nothing, no?
Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Hello, Anna.
Yeah, yeah.
Good morning, Sudha. Welcome, Sudha.
Morning, ma'am. Morning.
Naren and others leaders. Come has
Yes,
come.
ma'am.
So are you all ready? You tell her
Okay, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am.
at the right time, okay?
Yes, ma'am. We'll start at 10, ma'am.
Yeah. Sudha, please be online. They'll tell you. And
Yeah. No issues. I'm here.
Hey, no.
Muthukumar,
Morning, madam.
good morning, Muthukumar. And what about Milton and Pravina?
Yes, ma'am. I just sent the message to them. They'll join.
Ask them to join also, please.
Yes, yes.
A warm good morning to one and all present here. This fine morning, we are here for the online youth parliament organized by the National Service Scheme of Madras Christian College. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to this event. A day without prayer would be a day without blessing. To invoke the blessings of God Almighty, I invite Logapriya S. to lead us in prayer.
O thou, who in days past didn't put it into the hearts of good men to found this college, for imparting of good sound learning, the building of character and the spread of spiritual truth and knowledge of thyself. Bless our college and students. May love, unity, and brotherhood be learned here. May industry, uprightness, and courage grow here. And from this place may there be sent forth continuously a stream of good men and women who shall serve thee faithfully in thy word. Amen.
Thank you. Now I invite Kritika to sing Tamil Thai Vartu. Kritika, you're on mute.
நீராறும் கடலுடுத்த நிலமடந்தை கெழிலொழுகும் சீராறும் வதனமென திகழ்பரத கண்டமிதில் தெக்கணமும் அது சிறந்த திராவிடன நாடும் தக்க சிறு பிறை முதலும் தரித்தனரும் திலகமுமே அத்திலக வாசனை போல் அனைத்துலகும் இன்பமுற எத்திசையும் புகழ் மணக்க இருந்த பெரும் தமிழனங்கே தமிழனங்கே உன் சீரிரமை திறம்பி என்று செயல் மறந்து வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே.
Thank you, Kritika. Nothing can be more heartwarming than the affectionate words of welcome. I invite Dr. Merlin Juliet Arutangam to give the welcome note.
Greetings to you all who are participating in this beautiful session called Youth Parliament. And I welcome each and every one who is present here. Especially, I welcome Dr. Sudha, Associate Professor, Political Science, Madras Christian College, who has consented to give the keynote address because she is well-versed with that particular topic. And so we liberally invited her and she immediately accepted. And I'm so glad that she is among us. To give you the details of the real parliament session. And then we are waiting to see how you people are going to do this mock presentation of youth parliament. We are very excited and we are very thankful for this kind of leadership quality that you all have possessed. I congratulate each and every participant who has come forward, who has taken efforts to prepare and everything. I'm so glad that you are excited about everything, you're vigilant, you're vibrant, and all the very best to each and every person. And I congratulate and welcome the leaders of NSS also, who is taking a lot of efforts for having some event or the other every other day. So I congratulate all the leaders, the participants, and the spectators also. We have audience from teachers group, from students group, and I hope that each one will benefit out of this presentation. So a special word of welcome once again to Dr. Su.
Thank you, ma'am. To inaugurate this event and enlighten us with her captivating words, I invite our chief guest, Dr. S. Sudha, Associate Professor of the Department of Political Science of our college. Over to you, ma'am.
Good morning to all. It is a joy for me to be back to NSS, most respected teachers who are all my good friends and my beloved students. I've been in NSS for the last almost more than 10 years. And even as a student, then we used to have CSS, Community Social Service. And right from those days, it has been a very nice experience to be with the community and do service, and also to be with teams, so that all of us work together. We learned a lot of things from our CSS work and later from NSS. And even when this year, when you were having some of your programs, Shiva ma'am and myself, we were all, present. We could not just be away from NSS. And we also keep telling your dear staff members to, keep us informed. Of course, we get the information. So we will be a part of your work. So when ma'am was just telling me about this, I readily accepted it because it is something which NSS is also very close to my heart, and also the topic that you have, the program that you have decided on. So when we are talking about our country, right, we have celebrated our Republic Day, and when we are looking at our nation, we always have a pride, and we are so happy to be a part of this nation. And we know that we have a rich tradition, culture, heritage, and we have been a guiding force to so many countries. At the same time, we also know that we have a lot of diversity, and diversity is something which actually we celebrate. I look at it that way. It's a strength for us. And also the governments over the years, right from the time we got independence, it has been a challenge for the governments to take care, or to cater to the needs of the people of diverse backgrounds. So you may talk about religion or caste, or the economic condition, their resources, the geographical condition. Nothing was very conducive. Later days, as the governments had to make their laws, they had to take care of the needs of the people, they had to integrate states, right? So all of that was a measure by our leaders of the nation to, develop our country. So from a welfare perspective, probably they looked at development, and we even talk about empowerment now, right? So we have been seeing all of these efforts over these years since our independence, and it is not easy. It is quite challenging. So we have a democratic system. We adopted a parliamentary form of government from the British model. It is, and it is a condition where we are able to rule ourselves. It is the rule of the people, but of course, it is through our our representatives who are in the parliament. They are representing our interest, and they are supposed to take the right decisions. So that becomes a huge responsibility on these people, and that's where the role of the parliament is very, very important. And laws, parliament is one of the sources of law, right? So the right laws have to come from us. That is, we cannot directly, since it's a huge population, we may not be able to directly get involved in policy making or in the exact decision making process. But we are here to elect our right representatives, which we have an opportunity, a chance every periodically in the elections. And these representatives sitting in the parliament, they are supposed to do the right things for us. So this is the understanding. And when we look at the political system, when we understand this entire structure, we will be able to kind of understand the responsibility of these rulers, these policy makers. So as a political system, what we see is we again adopted a federal structure where the power is distributed between the center and the states. So for any federal system, it is important that there is a distribution of power, and also the constitution, the written constitution, which gives clarity, and it gives the particular powers and the spheres of the jurisdiction of both the center and the state, and of course also the role of the judiciary. The independent and impartial judiciary is very, very important when we talk about the federal system. But what we see is in the Indian context, there are many places where we look at a situation where the center is sometimes given more powers, right? The president has his emergency powers and different ways in which sometimes, the center has more powers. And so some people, some thinkers, they even say that India is more quasi-federal than, making it more of a federal system. So when it comes to the role of the union legislature, that is, we talk about when you talk about the parliament and the deliberations that we are going to have. So it is, of course, the parliament having the two houses, right? So they have their own responsibilities and the bills that have to be passed, right? So the different kinds of bills, Naren had just given a small idea of what kind of issues that are going to be raised, right? So these bills, of course, they're all supposed to be concerns of the people, of the everyday life of the people, the mass, right? So then it becomes very responsible, you know, the responsibility of these parliamentarians to uh, take the right decisions, because be it the ruling party or the opposition party, uh, both has an equal importance, so that there is a check, right, on all of this. And when we talk about these bills again, the different kinds of the ordinary bill or a money bill or the budget or even the amendment bills, you'll see that Parliament has the power to change the laws, because laws, the characteristic of law is that it has to be dynamic, right? It has to be for the changing times. So whatever is the need of the society, it has to cater to the need of the people, the common people. So here we see that the role of youth again becomes very, very important, because we have many of our own leaders who have given a lot of importance to youth, the strength of the youth, not only the numerical strength by thought, they are more innovative, and even the voting rights. When we talk about the right to vote, we see that right from the age of 18, you people have the right to vote. So you are well informed about what's happening around you, what is going to be the future, what is the need, because as we spoke about diversity, the need of these different people are very different, right? It could be a student in a rural area, or in a remote village. So what happens? We are going to have one uniform policy for various issues. So what happens to these different people? How do we connect? How do we reach to people, right? So your force, the youngsters, you have a great potential, and it will be nice to hear from you as to what you think about various issues. And today in this digital world, it is also very, very easy to spread the information. So we just get all our informations in a second, right? So whatever is the difference, even in the parliament, as we see, people from different parts of the country as they are there, whatever is the difference that they have, and in our politics, what we see is also it's a multi-party system, a country like ours. So there again, these party loyalties and their agenda and all that also is there. So whatever is the diversity, the nation has to be kept first. The welfare of the people is the most important thing. So having that in mind, if each of our leaders, right, work, and you people as future leaders of this country, right? Even in my class, I will always say that my politicians and my administrators and my judges and the chief justice, all of them are hidden inside the class, right? We do not know, like, when who are there, right? So you have a great potential, and this is a very wonderful program that you have decided on. So I hope it will go on well, and I appreciate all the organizers, and I also wish the best of luck to all the participants. I thank Malin ma'am for giving me this good opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your amazing thoughts. The power of the youth is the common wealth of our entire nation. The faces of the young people are the faces of our past, our present, and our future. Nothing can match the power, idealism, enthusiasm, and courage of the young people. Yes, the most awaited moment is here. Without further ado, let's move on to the first session of the Youth Parliament.
So, can everyone hear me? Am I audible?
Yeah.
So we can start with parliamentary. Honorable members, Honorable the Speaker.
Am I audible?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Okay. Honorable members, cordially, I welcome you all to the morning session of the Youth Parliament. I hope the session would be a fruitful one. As we sit down today to deliberate the important matters concerning the nation. Honorable members, as we meet today, it's my sad duty to inform the House with profound grief and heavy heart. I stand to convey the unfortunate news of the crash of military helicopter with the India's first Chief of Defence Staff, General Bipin Rawat, on board. General Bipin Rawat and his achievement is pondering rule by many. He was also he left an indelible mark on the course of US-Indian defense partnership and was at the center of Indian Armed Force. And he have made a lot of transformations and new resolutions in the military. Prime Minister, please.
Ma'am, I rise to pay my tribute to Sri Bipin Rawat, whose death has been deeply mourned by all. He was a man who came from a family which had been serving in the Indian Army for multiple generations, and this tradition was carried by the family. He was with us to the very last moment. He was an Indian military officer who was a 4-star general of the Indian Army. He served as the first chief of defense staff of the Indian Armed Force until his death in the helicopter crash. Therefore, the shock of his passing away was all the greater. I should like to extend my deep condolence to his family.
Opposition leader, please.
The nation has lost one of its bravest warriors. His 4 decades of self-service to the motherland was marked by exceptional gallantry and heroism. To honor his bravery and mighty sacrifices, I would like to express my deepest condolences to the families and the Indian Army.
1 minute, please. 1 minute. 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 the House may remain silent for a while to express our deep sorrow. Secretary General may convey the message of condolence to the family. As we move on, today's first business oath taking. Secretary General, please.
I request the newly elected members of the Parliament to take the oath. I now invite Farhan.
The Minister
I call upon Farha, Ministry of Social Justice, newly elected minister, to take the oath.
I, Farha, having been elected a member of the lower house of the Youth Parliament, do swear in the name of God that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India, and as by law established, that I will uphold the sovereignty and integrity of India, and that I will faithfully discharge the duty upon which I am about to enter.
Thank you. I now request Niveta to take the oath.
I, Niveta, having been elected a member of the lower house of the Youth Parliament, do swear in the name of God that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India as by law established, that I will uphold the sovereignty and integrity of India, that I will faithfully discharge the duty upon which I am about to enter. Thank you.
moving on to introduction of the minister. Prime Minister to introduce the new ministers, please.
Mr. Speaker, I have pleasure in introducing to you and through you to the House, my colleagues, the new ministers. Shri Shyam, Minister of Health and Minister of Petroleum. Shri Altazim, Minister of Defense and Minister of Law and Justice. Shri Sneha, Minister of Home Affairs. Shri Kevin, Minister of Finance. Shri Gayatri, Minister of Agriculture. Shri Nivedita, Minister of External Affairs. Shri Thomas, Minister of Education. Shri Shirley, Minister of Commerce and Industry. Shri Malavika, Minister of Railways. Shri Farha, Minister of Social Justice. Shri Prasanna, Minister of Power. Shri Ayush, Minister of Environment and Labour. Shri Shirley, Minister of Information and Broadcasting, Youth Affairs. Shri John Garland, Minister of Roadways. Shri Ashwin, Minister of Culture and Tourism. Shri Jesslyn, Minister of Women and Child Development.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Now the question hour starts. Question number 101, Jayashree.
Yes. Before stating my question, I would like to greet all the dignitaries in the House with my utmost courtesy. So, my question, will the Ministry of Finance would please to give a clear statement for the centers due on GST issue of the state Tamil Nadu, which was clearly lacking for the year 2020 to 2021. For the record, it was approximated 6,155 crores.
Honorable Minister of Finance, please.
Respected Speaker, Madam, giving an answer to the question number 101. Will the Ministry of Finance please give a clear statement for the centers due on GST issue of the state Tamil Nadu, which was clearly lacking for the year 2020 to 2021. The union government has to actually release 4,943 crore to Tamil Nadu as arrears in GST compensation. The pending due includes GST compensation of rupees 2,894 crore for financial year 2021. The pending and rupees 2,049 crore for the first quartile of financial year 2022. A GST compensation of rupees 9,845 crore has been released to the state to partly cover the GST compensation due for financial year 2021. The compensation for the state stood at 15,475 crore as on December 1, 2021. It is important to note that the center has not had any arrears in GST compensation during the financial years 2018, 19, and 20. This clearly states the consistency of the center in performing its duties with regard to the payments of dues in arrears.
The House is open for supplementaries. I repeat, the House is open for supplementaries.
Respected Speaker, Madam.
Yes.
I haven't completed my answer yet. May I continue?
Okay, you can continue.
Yeah. So one of the main reasons why the center has not been able to pay the dues for the financial year 2021 and 22 on time without any delays is mainly because of the pandemic and the GST compensation shortage that the center faced with. It's important that we take into consideration the economic disruptions caused by the pandemic. Therefore, the center had decided to pay installments, pay the dues in the form of installments, and it has been releasing amounts of funds by way of raising debt and transferring the available funds in the reserve. So, thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Question number 102. Sarah.
Thank you, ma'am. Will the Minister of Social Justice be pleased to state whether there is any improvement in the upgradation on the policy of monitoring system that has been made to tackle the problems and crimes that are faced by the economically weaker sections in Kerala and other states, and have more equitable access to every welfare program that is brought forth by the government? Sir, Kerala is supposed to be a socialist paradise with the best social and gender indicators, frowning on economic growth and globalization. But a look at the latest crime data suggests that even Kerala's image as a civilized paradise for the poor and destitute is much exaggerated. Be it rape rate 2.9, which is almost 1.5 times the national rate, the rate of assaults, which is thrice as high as national average, and even denial of basic human rights. Could the Honorable Minister kindly elucidate in the light of this?
The Honorable Minister of Social Justice, please.
Honorable Speaker, ma'am, and I would like to answer this question. Yes, I've seen these data, and yes, we have been taking appropriate actions against it, and we have been trying to implement certain rules and regulations and much more, and updating the already existing ones so that we can actually approach these problems in a much more friendly and appropriate manner, and so that we can reduce the number of these crimes and social injustices happening in not just Kerala, although Kerala is the highlighted state mentioned, in all the other states of India.
Thank you, Minister. Moving on to the next question. 103, Mikhail.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Will the Honorable Minister of Education be pleased to state as to what actions are being taken to ensure that online education is inclusive and accessible to financially backward students?
Honorable Minister of Education, please.
Honorable Speaker, ma'am, I answer the question number 103. Will be the Honorable Minister of Education should please to state as the what actions are being taken to ensure that online education is inclusive and accessible to financially backward students. I like to answer in Tamil. So, பல்வேறு மக்கள்கள் எல்லாமே வந்து பின்னாடி தள்ளி உள்ள ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் எல்லாம் என்ன பண்ணுவாங்க அப்படின்னு வந்து கேட்டிருக்காங்க. யார் அப்படின்னு நினைக்க மிக்கேல் டெல்லியில உள்ளவங்க கேட்டிருக்காங்க. சோ என்ன இதுக்கான ஒரு சொல்யூஷன் அப்படின்னு கேட்டீங்க அப்படின்னு நினைக்க எல்லார் கையிலும் தான் இப்போ வந்து டிஜிட்டல் வேர்ல்ட்ல எல்லார் கையிலும் தான் வந்து கன்ஃபார்மா போன்ஸ் இருக்கும். சோ இந்த சிஸ்டம் மூலியமா பாத்தீங்க அப்படின்னு நினைக்க எல்லாருக்குமே வந்து ஒரு நல்ல ஒரு வேல்யூ தான் இருக்கும். சோ அது மட்டும் இல்லாம இப்ப எல்லாருமே வந்து இப்போ ஆன்லைன் கிளாஸஸ்னால நிறைய பசங்களுக்கு வந்து ஸ்கூல் எஜுகேஷன்ஸ் ஃபாலோ ஆகக்கூடாது, ஸோ காலேஜ் எஜுகேஷன்ஸ் ஃபாலோ ஆகக்கூடாதுன்னு எல்லா கையிலும் தான் ஃபோன் இருக்கு. ஸோ அது மட்டும் இல்லாம பாத்தீங்க அப்படின்னா நெட் அன்பேக்கிங், ஸோ எல்லாமே வந்து இது எல்லாமே கொண்டு வராங்க. ஸோ நான் அந்த சிஸ்டம்ஸ்ல என்ன சொல்லியிருப்பேன் அப்படின்னு கேட்டீங்க அப்படின்னா, ஸோ நம்ம எஜுகேஷன் அப்படின்னு ஒரு .com இருக்கும். ஸோ நம்ம கல்வி எஜுகேஷன் ஐ மீன் இருக்கும். ஸோ அதை பாத்தீங்க அப்படின்னு நினைக்க ஒரு சில லிங்க் எல்லாம் ப்ரொவைட் பண்ணியிருந்தேன். டைரக்டா வந்து ஸ்கிரீன் ரெக்கார்டா ஓப்பன் ஆகும். ஸோ சொல்லியிருக்காங்க. இது எதுக்காக அப்படின்னு கொஸ்டினைஸ் பண்ணிருக்காங்க அப்படின்னு நினைக்க எல்லாராலையும் இது மாதிரி வாங்க முடியாது. அது மட்டும் இல்லாம ஆன்லைன் எஜுகேஷன் வந்து ஒரு ஃபேரா இல்லாம இருக்கும். அது மட்டும் இல்லாம ஃபினான்சியலா வந்து பின்தங்கி உள்ள மக்கள் எல்லாம் எப்படி இதை இது பண்ணுவாங்க அப்படின்னு கேட்டாங்க. ஸோ நான் ஆன்சர் சொல்றேன். இந்த ஆன்சருக்கு நான் என்ன சொல்ல வரேன் அப்படின்னு கேட்டீங்க அப்படின்னா, எல்லா கையிலும் தான் ஃபோன் இருக்கு, எல்லா கையிலும் தான் இன்டர்நெட் ஆக்சஸ் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்காங்க.
Honorable Speaker, with prior permission, I would like to follow up.
Permission granted.
Thank you. Will the Honorable Minister of Education be pleased to state how is that possible when the statistics of 2020 say that the internet penetration is only 50% for the total population of India? So even if mobile phones, which are quite costly to be honest, are starting at around at least 11,000 to 10,000 rupees, which is way lesser than the income of a below poverty line family. How will they be able to afford the phone and the internet, which is only available to half the population of the whole country of India, consisting of 1.37 billion people?
இது ஒரு நல்ல கொஸ்டின் தான். பட் அது தாண்டி எல்லாருமே பாவர்ட்டி லைன்ல இருந்தா கூட எல்லாருமே எஜுகேஷன் இஸ் மெயின் அப்படின்னு தான் சொல்றாங்க. ஸோ அது மட்டும் இல்லாம பாத்தீங்கன்னா இந்த ஜென்ரேஷன்ல வந்து எல்லா கையிலயும் போன் இருக்கு. ஸோ அதுக்கெல்லாம் போன்லாம் அரேஞ்ச் பண்ண முடியாது. பட் இப்போ போன இது பாத்தீங்க அப்படின்னு நினைக்க சின்ன விஷயமா நிறைய பேர் கொண்டு வராங்க. என்ன அப்படின்னு நினைக்க லாஸ்ட் இயர்ல பாத்தீங்கன்னா இலவசமா வந்து 4 GB வந்து இது பண்றாங்க. ஸோ அது மாதிரி எல்லாம் வந்து நிறைய ஸ்கீம்ஸ் கொண்டு வந்திருக்காங்க. ஸோ அது மாதிரி ஒரு ஸ்கீம்ஸ் வந்து நான் ரெஃபர் பண்ணிருப்பேன் அந்த இதுல சிஸ்டம்ல. ஸோ இந்த ஜிபி அந்த இன்டர்நெட் ஆக்சஸ கொண்டு வரலாம் அப்படின்னு.
Thank you, Minister. We'll move on to the next question. 104, Manju Priya.
Thank you, ma'am. Will the Minister of Environment please to state that all over the country, 1/3 of the death every year occurring due to cancer, which is caused by air pollution and water pollution. West Bengal is also facing the same problem, and 40% of the death in Bengal is due to air and water pollution. So we need to find the reason for the increase in pollution and what are the measures taken to control the pollution.
Honorable Speaker, Environment, please.
Respected Speaker, Madam, I would like to answer
The question number 104. Will the Minister of Environment please to state, people in West Bengal is highly dying due to cancer by air pollution and water pollution, and we need to find the reason for this increase in that rate. So what measures are taken to control the pollution? To answer this question, I would like to say that the government has already taken various measures to control air and water pollution. Regarding air pollution, we have launched National Clean Air Program, which is a long-term, time-bounded national level strategy to tackle air pollution across the country, targeting to achieve 20% to 30% reduction in PM10 and PM2.5 concentration by 2024. City-specific action plan have been approved for all 102 non-attainment cities for implementation on ground, in which 7 cities of West Bengal have been included. We are also trying to bring a similar program like GRAP, Graded Response Action Plan for Kolkata and its adjoining regions. The major cause of air pollution in West Bengal is transportation and from industrial sectors. So we have moved from BS4 to BS6 standard of vehicles by 1st of April 2020. And also the use of cleaner fuels like CNG and biofuels is promoted, and incentives are taken and given for purchasing electrical vehicles. Major industries have been moved out of cities. And for checking water pollution, National Clean Ganga Mission has been implemented in the cities of West Bengal, as well as which also checks the sewage discharge and industrial effluents discharge into the rivers. And we have tied up with Tata Memorial Hospital of Mumbai to set up 2 cancer hospitals for cancer patients, where BPL people can get treatment at very low cost.
Thank you, Minister. The House is open for supplementaries. I repeat, the House is open for the supplementaries. Moving on, question number 105, Vinoyan.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, my question is a two-parted one. Will the Minister of Roadways be pleased to state why the government is ruining and rebuilding roads that are in good condition rather than constructing new roads in rural areas or villages? And also, they are wasting taxes paid by the people. Also, I would like to ask, what is the reason for digging the roads 2 to 3 times in a year consecutively? People suffer a lot due to improper roads. The roads are being dug and reconstructed, and it takes nearly 3 to 4 months to be reconstructed. And it happens 2 to 3 times in a year consecutively. People who travel in those areas suffer a lot. These areas become accident-prone areas. Instead, they can build new roads in villages or rural areas. I request the Honorable Minister to kindly elucidate.
The Honorable Minister, please.
Honorable Speaker, very warm welcome. Good morning from Young Minds Party. I am representing the Ministry of Roadways and Road Transport and Highways, and I would like to answer Vinoyan from Andhra Pradesh, respectable, through the Speaker. The question is, will the Minister of Roadways be pleased to state why the government is ruining the roads that are in good condition? What is the reason for digging the roads 2 to 3 times in a year? Why is the government?
Go to the answer.
Okay, madam. Okay, madam. So the minister, the opposition member, is asking for the construction of roads actually. So what I want to tell is there is no gain without pain. We are aiming for a international level of quality of roads. So there we are including like sewage, water, electricity, and telecom introduction in that the road itself. So it will we have to bear the pain actually. So let me quote some examples. Like in Bangalore, in the Cummingham Road, Kiran Mazumdar, a managing director from my NGO, has quoted that this is a very good initiative actually. So if the people suffer now for about the traffic and the things like, we can be free for 2 decades. The pedestrians can walk freely, and also the roads will have a quality of the international level. And the person who asked the question missed the question is targeted to somebody else. Actually, she quoted that there can be new roads built in the rural actually. So the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways does not come under that jurisdiction. Actually, the Panchayat and the Prime Minister Gram Sadak Yojana has to take care of the rural thing. So we have to take care of the NHA. So the question is being asked to a different person actually. So it is fully in the hands of the Panchayat actually. So I would like to go for further questions. Thank you.
The house is open for supplementaries.
Speaker, ma'am, I would like your permission for supplementary, ma'am.
Permission granted.
Thank you, ma'am. Will the Honorable Minister of Road Transport and Highways be pleased to state as to how exactly does that really matter when the quality of roads can still be developed, and whether 5 times the road is being reconstructed throughout the whole year, or a highway is being reconstructed throughout the whole year, it does not develop in any way, to be honest. It only is reconstructed. There's no development per se. And how can you call that international level of development? Or even the neighboring countries must have better roads than what we do at this point in time. So if we are going to become international, we're going to raise our levels to international quality, then we have to have some sort of a development, and that is missing. How will the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways address this issue of development rather than reconstruction?
Yeah, Madam Speaker, can I go forward?
Yes, yes.
So that was a very good question actually. Development in the sense, there is a lot of things that has to be taken in consider while considering the construction of roads. So as for now, we have wires, electricity wires are being put on poles and is traveling above our heads. And the water is being the water and the sewage and the telecom, we will be having optical fiber recently, very recently in 5 or 6 years now. So there is a lot of things to be considered. And also we are considering the pedestrians actually in the national highways. As for now, we don't have a bigger portion for the pedestrians to walk. Only we will have the roads for the vehicles, heavy load vehicles and normal vehicles. So under this reconstruction thing, we are focusing a lot of things like pedestrians walking, the advanced sensor lights, like lights which has sensors and advanced cameras. And also we are considering the important factor, that is telecommunication. There is a lot of wires and underground that has to be planted for the further development. For the on the long run, it will be a very good development for the India actually. If you are comparing countries nearby like Sri Lanka and Bangladesh and Pakistan, they have roads, they have good roads. But if we wait for 5 or 6 years, for next 2 decades or 3 decades, we'll be free of all those. We'll be free and we'll be advanced comparing to more than 130 countries actually. So there is no pain without gain. If we suffer for some time now with the traffic and things, we'll be able to achieve a bigger thing in the coming days. Thank you, madam.
Any more questions?
Yes, ma'am. I would like to exercise my right to follow up.
Granted.
Thank you, ma'am. Sir, you have the Minister of Road Transport has stated that there will be development since we are going to move to telecommunications. underground. But at the same time, if you're going to reconstruct, if the Ministry of Road Transport is going to reconstruct one particular highway 5 times in a year, that will disrupt traffic, that will disrupt the tradeways, the road transport tradeways, and that will disrupt the economical conditions of our country right now and for the future. That will not help us in any way. So instead of, will the Ministry of Road Transport plan in advance and submit to the Parliament as to how or which period of time or how much amount of time it will take in one shot to do the whole year's work at one particular time period, so that it doesn't affect the roadways as much. Thank you, ma'am.
Would the minister like to answer?
Madam Speaker, I would like to answer it. The road being broken and constructed 5 times is actually an exaggeration. The maximum in a year, according to my to my nearby things, so it will be maximum 2 times, and there is a lot of procedures in between the fund transfer and between the tender agents. So it is a I accept that it is a blunder from our side. I plead the Madam Speaker for a report. I'll be submitting a report within 3 months of time about how we will conclude this and we'll end this right now.
Papers on. Moving on to the question number 106. Jayashree.
Thank you, ma'am. My question is, will the Ministry of Defense would please to give an appropriate reason for the rejection of Tamil Nadu's possession for the Republic Day Parade 2022?
Honorable Minister of Defense, please.
Madam Speaker, I want to answer to her question. It's like when there is a parade, when there is a Republic Day parade, they only select. There will be every union territories and every state will send their tableaus. Like in this year today we are in in this Republic Day, we got almost 29 tableaus from all over India, but only 12 tableaus were selected by the expert committee. Expert committee. I repeat, expert committee. The expert committee, the basis of the theme, they will look the concept, design, and the visual impact. There will be some kind of criteria. It should அந்த கிரைட்டீரியாவை அது ஒரு ஒழுங்கான முறையில தீர்க்கணும். ஒழுங்கான முறையில பூர்த்தி செய்யணும். ஒரு டேப்லூவா இருந்தா தமிழ்நாடு சார்பாக இருந்து வர்ற ஒரு டேப்லூ, அந்த ஒரு கிரைட்டீரியா நான் குறிப்பிட்ட அந்த 4 கிரைட்டீரியாவும் ஒரு நல்ல முறையில அது பூர்த்தி பண்ணணும். அப்படி பண்ணாதான் அது ஒரு ஃபைனல் ஸ்டேஜுக்கு போகும். அதாவது தமிழ்நாடு டேப்லூ it just it come to the 3rd round. I think it's come to the 3rd round, but it got eliminated at the 3rd round. So what a mistake Tamil Nadu tableau done here is like Tamil Nadu's tableau is like describing their freedom struggle. If ஒரு டேப்லூங்கிறது என்னவா வேணாலும் டிஸ்கிரைப் பண்ணலாங்கிற மாதிரி இருக்கக்கூடாது. அதாவது அது ஒரு என்ன சொல்றது, ஒரு ஃப்ரீடம் ஸ்ட்ரகிளை மென்ஷன் பண்ணலாம். அப்படி இல்லைன்னா ஒரு ஸ்டேட்டோட ரிச் ஹெரிட்டேஜை மென்ஷன் பண்ணலாம். அப்படி இல்லைன்னா அந்த ஸ்டேட்டோட ட்ரெடிஷன்ஸை மென்ஷன் பண்ணலாம். அந்த மாதிரி சில குறிப்பிட்ட சில இதை தான் ஒவ்வொரு டேப்லவும் மென்ஷன் பண்ணணும். அதுவும் அது 100% ஒரு இதை கரெக்டா மென்ஷன் பண்ணணும். பட் தமிழ்நாடு டேப்லூல என்ன மிஸ்டேக் நடந்திருக்குன்னா, தமிழ்நாடு டேப்லூ டோட்டலா அவங்க ஒரு ஃப்ரீடம் ஸ்ட்ரகிள் ஃப்ரீடம் பிஃபோர் ஈஸ்ட் இந்தியா கம்பெனியில் இருக்கிற ஃப்ரீடம் ஸ்ட்ரகிளையும், அதுக்கப்புறம் பிரிட்டிஷ் வந்ததுக்கு அப்புறம் அங்க இருந்த ஃப்ரீடம் ஸ்ட்ரகிளையும் அவங்க மென்ஷன் பண்ற மாதிரி அவங்க டேப்லூ டிசைன் பண்ணியிருந்தாங்க. பட் அதுல இருக்கிற மிஸ்டேக் என்னன்னா, ஈஸ்ட் இந்தியா கம்பெனி ஆக்சுவலா வேலு நாச்சியார் அண்ட் மருது பிரதர்ஸ் அவங்க 2 பேரும் ஒரு நம்ம கரெக்டா பார்த்தோம்னா they are not even a freedom fighters, because they are like a kings and queen who want to save their territory. We can't say
Honorable
Shivaji.
Speaker, Honorable Speaker, will I have permission to follow up?
I didn't finish my speech.
Members, please maintain the decorum.
I didn't finish it.
No. Have you saying that Velu Nachar and is not a freedom fighter?
Technically, they are not a freedom fighter.
So can
They
you
are
explain?
Yeah, I can explain.
Yeah.
Because they are a king and queen. They who want to save their territory. We can't say Shivaji as a freedom fighter who fought against the Mughals who are originally from Afghanistan. We can't say like that. So that's the major reason why. Sorry.
Minister, please to be the point.
Yeah, I'm coming to the point. That's the only reason why our expert committee didn't select Tamil Nadu's tableau. Yeah, I think I answered to the question.
Any more supplementaries?
Honorable Speaker, I would like to follow up on the comment.
Permission granted.
You're saying that they are not a freedom fighter, so they are not included in the tableau, right?
It's a mistake. It's a blunder mistake which committed by the Tamil Nadu's tableau. That's why.
But they comes under the category of freedom fighter, right?
No,
how can you say that they are not the freedom fighters of Tamil Nadu?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because if we can't take
they are the king and queen, but they fought for their own state, territory, right?
Yeah, even Shivaji was fought against Mughals.
So yeah, they will be called under the category of freedom fighters.
How we can say Shivaji is a freedom fighter?
They are fighting for their own territory, right?
We can't say.
அவங்களோட டெரிட்டரிக்காக அவங்க வந்து ஃபைட் பண்ணும்போது சோ அவங்கள ஃப்ரீடம் ஃபைட் தான் சொல்ல முடியும்.
நம்ம இந்த இடத்துல நாட்டோட ஃப்ரீடம்ங்கறத மென்ஷன் ஆகுது. அவங்க டெரிட்டரிக்காகங்கிறது நம்ம அந்த இடத்துல கொண்டு வர முடியாது.
Yeah, but my question is the rejection of Tamil Nadu tableau, right?
Yeah, that's why I'm saying 4 பேர் நீங்க குறிப்பிட்டத மொத்தம் பாரதியார், அதுக்கு அப்புறம் வந்து பிபோ சிதம்பரம் பிள்ளை, அதுக்கு அப்புறம் மருது சகோதரர்கள், அதுக்கு அப்புறம் வந்து லைக் வேலு நாச்சியார், இவங்க 4 பேர் வந்து அந்த இடத்துல இருந்தாங்க. பட் இதுல 2 பேர் நான் அக்செப்ட் பண்ணிக்கிறேன். பிஓ சிதம்பரம் பிள்ளையோ பாரதியாரோ வந்து ஒரு ஃப்ரீடம் ஃபைட்டர்ஸ், we can accept, it's not a mistake. பட் அந்த இடத்துல நீங்க வேலு நாச்சியாரோ மருது சகோதரர்கள் மென்ஷன் பண்ணது எக்ஸ்பர்ட் கமிட்டிக்கு ஒரு பெரிய மிஸ்டேக்கா இருந்துச்சு. I repeat, it's an expert committee which was appointed by our government, which was appointed directly by me. So I can't, நான் வந்து ஒரு ஒழுங்கான ஒரு இதுல இல்லாத மூலம் நான் அந்த எக்ஸ்பர்ட் கமிட்டில போட முடியாது. So
Minister of Defense,
yeah,
you can lay the papers later. We will move on to the next question. Question number 108, Madhivadini.
Respected Madam, will the Ministry of Agriculture please to state, due to the geographical isolation and ecological imbalances in Tripura, the soil of the area becomes so acidic in nature. This affects the farmers, local villagers and their economy too. Will agroforestry come in practice to eradicate this?
Thank you. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Madam, Speaker on number 108, I would like to answer that it is possible, because as Tripura, I would just say that Tripura is a far from the mainland, from maybe it has to ultimately come to the mainland, that maybe near places like Guwahati or Manipur or Shillong, etc. So the question lies here that basically the farmers are not educated because they are from the tribal sites. So the farmers should first let them educate, so the government will take steps to educate the farmers about the agroforestry through the village panchayat. Secondly, I would say that the government will definitely provide necessary things through subsidy, and that maybe it would be really clear that the second point, that the government will definitely provide the necessary things through the subsidy. So I would clearly say that the government will promote the agroforestry to Tripura. Honorable Speaker, the reasons put forward are very clear. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. The next question, 109, Viona.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, my question is three-parted. Will the Minister of Atomic Energy be pleased to state how do they assure the safety of the people residing near the power plant or the workers working in it? Also, why aren't the dangerous and life-threatening uh, radioactive elements being disposed properly? We also want to know if the workers are exposed to this harmful radiation. Nuclear power plants use uranium ore to produce power. This uranium ore is refined and obtained extracted with help of fossil fuels. Fossil fuels are used to extract them, and also they are used to construct the nuclear power plant itself, thus using a large amount of energy. And while using fossil fuels, it releases a large amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, which itself is a pollution. Also, these harmful substances give radiation, which has a very dangerous effect on human health. There is a higher risk of 10% of all cancers for the workers working in the nuclear power plant. Also, leukemia, a cancer, has 19%, I repeat, 19% higher risk. So, also, there is a very dangerous situation. If a if a nuclear reactor explodes, the surrounding of 16-kilometer radius, I repeat, 16-kilometer radius will turn into ashes. I request Honorable Minister to elucidate on the safety and of the workers and the people residing near the power plant.
Honorable Minister of Atomic Energy, please give a clarity.
Honorable Madam Speaker, answering to the question by Andhra Pradesh PM, firstly, I would like to thank for bringing attention to an important topic on the floor, that is safety in nuclear power plants, NPPs in India. As Minister of Atomic Energy, it is my duty to dissipate correct information regarding the same to this Parliament and the public at large. And I assure you that the safety in our nuclear plants is accorded overriding priority in all the activities. I would like to answer your question on radioactive waste management in two heads. Firstly, method of disposal and monitoring. Gaseous waste from reactor buildings are filtered using high-efficiency particulate air filters and released after monitoring through a stack of 100-meter height. The radioactive liquid waste are segregated, filtered, and conditioned, and after adequate dilution, are then only disposed to the environment water body. The discharges are monitored on daily basis and ensured to be below the AERB prescribed limits. Secondly, authorized limits of discharge. The Atomic Energy Safe Disposal of Radioactive Waste Rules 1987 prescribes the limits of discharge. It is mandatory for NPP to obtain authorization under the above rules from the competent authority for disposal of radioactive waste. The releases from NPPs have been only a fraction of release limits specified. To answer the question on nuclear safety of workers, nuclear plants in India work with this foundational principle. Collective dose to workers would be as low as reasonably achievable, the ASARE principle. This is achieved by implementing the following operational aspects. Implementation of radiation protection and contamination control procedures, use of proper equipment, adherence to the approved operating and maintenance procedures, implementation of radiation protecting training and qualification programs, and conduct of refresher courses to impart ARA concept and awareness. Proper work planning and its practical implementation through the issuance of radiation work permit and dose budgeting for each operation.
Precise.
Yeah. Yes, Madam Speaker. Public safety is given equal importance as the workers' safety. The dose to public resulting from the power plant releases are assessed and appropriate design measures to reduce these release or introduced. The dose limit is always kept below the prescribed one in the Atomic Energy Radiation Protection Rules 2004. An elaborate environment survey program around each NPP site is carried out by the HPUs and the Environmental Survey Laboratories, ESLs of DARC. The basic objective of the environmental monitoring and the surveillance programs is to assess the radiological impact on public. And the main thing what I want to convey here is, when there is good governance, environment is taken good care of, and the nature will take care of us.
Can the Prime Minister give more clarity on this issue?
Yes, Speaker, Madam. We value the health and safety of each employee and will be satisfied until the workplace is free of accidents and injuries. In fact, it is one of our core value, which is a base of our country. So, adding upon the things that when viewing flames or conditions, the workers will be wearing their goggles and tinted shield to protect their eyes from harmful light and flying ashes and slag particles. More protections will be taken towards the workers and the people who are living, and the people who are living near side the atomic plant will be moved to some other places which will not harm them anymore.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Any supplementaries?
Madam, can I ask a supplementary question?
Permission granted.
Thank you, Madam. So we live in a country where protocols are easily established but hardly monitored. That is something that we all have seen over the past couple of years. So it's very easy to set up standards, protocols, and even security and safety precautions. But after the establishment of these protocols, be it in the field of atomic energy, they are hardly ever monitored once these solutions are being put forth. So what is the government doing to ensure that these precautions as well as these protocols are being monitored every moment?
The Minister.
After the things are made up and the policies are brought up, there is a regular follow-up of the activities in the nuclear power plants by the authorities here, and I assure that it will be more specific in the future times. And I will also provide a proper answer in the written format, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. We'll move on to the next question. Question number 110. Vanessa.
Will the Minister of Home Affairs please to state why Jammu and Kashmir has been represented by an unelected governor appointed by the centre, while Parliament is downgrading the state into 2 union territories without any recommendation of the state?
Honorable Minister of Home Affairs, please.
Honorable Speaker, Jammu and Kashmir is the crown of secular India, but there is already a conflict between Hindus and Muslims. So appointing a person from the state would be vulnerable and may pave the way to further conflict. So to avoid such issues, a governor by the center would be the right choice. The state is in the hands of our Honorable President. We are already in a conflict with another country. We should retain our asset by avoiding inner conflicts.
Thank you, Minister. Any more supplementaries?
Madam Speaker, I'd like to ask a supplementary question.
Move on.
Don't you think the decision of the centre will cause a problem at the federalism, parliamentary democracy, and the diversity of our nation? Do you think that it is pointing a hand to the democracy of the nation by because you're defying the Article 370?
Minister, please.
President is for the entire country, so he would be also concerning about this issue, and I would further answer this by a bill.
Thank you, Minister. Let's move on to the next question. Question number 101.
Thank you, ma'am. Will the Minister of Commerce and Industry please to state, more than 7 lakh workers dependent on automobile sector in our state are fighting for their life in this economic slowdown, and many small-scale industries are facing major economic crisis. As their orders are dropping by 20 to 30% leads to a paralyzation in the small-scale industries in automobile sector. What is the government proposing to do for the upliftment of these people?
Honorable Minister of Commerce and Industry, please clarify.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, I am aware of the problems of unemployment caused as a result of paralyzation in the small-scale automobile industry. You see, a major cause for this is the slump in the automobile industry due to the increase in petroleum fuel. As a result, a good sector of people are switching over to e-automobiles, which are eco-friendly. We have to keep in mind the considerations of our environment. There is a drastic increase in the depletion of non-renewable resources, which in turn is leading to increase in air pollution. So keeping in mind the environment, the government is trying to encourage companies to produce quality products, that is the spare parts in India itself, so as to generate employment, which are coming up. We are coming up with policies and schemes to attract the e-automobile companies to manufacture in India. By doing so, they reap lots of benefits, as the manufacturing cost would be comparatively lesser than the Western world. As in India, we have abundance of high-skilled labor force at a very less cost. So we are employing more people with the same, so we can employ more and more people with the same amount of money. This will not only benefit the companies, but also India as a whole to become a major hub in the global supply chain.
Thank you, Minister. Any
Madam,
supplementaries?
Madam Speaker, I would like to ask a supplementary question.
Permission granted.
Thank you, Madam. Will the Minister of Commerce and Industry please state as to how we are going to tackle the decrease in petroleum vehicles has been rising, obviously, but at the same time the e-vehicles haven't had such a drastic rise. The sale of e-vehicles hasn't had a very drastic rise to compensate for the loss of for the slump of the sales of petroleum vehicles or diesel vehicles. How is that relevant in this situation when there is no compensation for the slump in sales?
The Minister.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, as I said, we are trying to encourage industries to invest in India as such. You see, unemployment is definitely a problem, and as the opposition party suggested, we need to compensate the loss. So that is why we're coming up with incentives for different companies to invest in India as such, so that not only can we help with the loss that we have suffered, but also generate employment at the same time. So we are working on it.
Thank you, Minister.
Madam Speaker, may I follow up, please?
Sorry. Moving on to the next question. Question number 112, Rohit. Rohit?
Hello, ma'am, am I audible?
Yeah, you can start.
Honorable Speaker, will the Ministry of Cultural and Tourism please to state that our state, Telangana, is known for the tourism and travel, and it is one of the most important income of our state. Due to the recent years of the pandemic, the economy and the people who are associated with the tourism and the travel management their life is at a stake. So will the ruling party and the minister will be planning to do about anything about the situation for the people who are associated with the tourism?
Honorable Minister of Culture and Tourism, please clarify the point.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, my answer to question number 112. It is a matter of fact that India is highly dependent on tourism too, and Telangana being no exception, which was adversely affected by the pandemic, the tourism industry. But we can't be beating around the bush again and again by having tourism under closed doors. We got to move on. Thanks to vaccination, as it reduces the number of deaths, unless there's no increase in the death rate, we could restore tourism back to normal. And also taking rapid antigen tests and checkpoints would prove useful as it would give results immediately. If you tested positive, you quarantine, you're negative, you're allowed in. This is one strategy that is being used by other places like Goa and Lakshadweep Islands. Not only Telangana, these places, they are 90% completely dependent on tourism, and they were successfully able to restore things back normal by having quarantine procedures, negative test reports, and vaccination details. So when we follow such norms, we could also cope up with the pandemic as well as restore tourism. And another thing that the ministry is considering is bringing about innovative ideas in Telangana and all other states. For example, in the Nilgiris district of Tamil Nadu, because of the pandemic, the indigenous people, they had lost their income as they were highly dependent on tourism. So what the government did was they provided these people with food trucks and gave them a certain amount to procure to the requirements. They were able to sell food using those trucks. This was fairly affordable, as not only the tourists, even the local people were able to afford the food. According to a report, these people, they earn 20% more income than they earlier used to earn before the pandemic. So such ideas have been proved useful for the indigenous people and the people who are mostly dependent on tourism. These ideas can be, we are sure that we could brought about such innovative ideas in the tourism sector at the earliest. Also, improving domestic tourism can help us increase the economy. Like according to statistics, in the year 2018 in Fiji, there were 7 million domestic tourists, and 8 million tourists from Fiji had traveled to other countries for tourism purposes. Because of the pandemic, since they were not able to move out of the country, there were overall 15 million domestic tourists, which means there are like-for-like replacements, and they were able to compensate for what the pandemic had brought. So improving domestic tourism and increasing domestic tourism, having proper compensation, like-for-like replacements, would improve the tourism sector and restore the economy. Thank you.
Mr. Honorable Speaker, may I follow?
Yeah, sure.
To the Honorable Minister. So looking at the stats, we know that there is a loss of 14.5 million jobs that has been lost in the past 2 years because of the pandemic. And the minister just told us to move on. I don't know, it will be very easy for the 14.5 million people who has lost their jobs to move on. I don't think so it will be very possible for them. And then during for the economy thing, there has been rupees 5 lakh crores that have been lost during this pandemic alone, because only for the tourism sector. So by the start of the January, there was been 80% of occupancy that has been started, and by the following up months, from the February it dropped to 70%, and then it dipped to March by 45%, and then at April it went to the least of 7% from the occupancy alone. This led to loss of 5 lakh crore rupees of loss. And I want to ask the minister, how will he be able to cope up with all the loss of money and all the loss of jobs? So what solution does he has to bring back what we have lost? We can't just move on.
Minister, will you please clarify?
Honorable Speaker, Madam. You told there was a loss of 14.5 million jobs. I don't think it was loss of 14.5 million jobs only in the tourism sector. It was probably proposed certain ideas that would compensate for the loss of money in the past 2 years, bringing about innovative ideas that didn't exist earlier. So when you bring such ideas in the following years, it can't be brought about overnight. It will take few months time or few years time to improve the economy, to bring about the compensation for the loss of money. So when it is being restored at the earliest, or when it is established at the earliest, in the coming years we could probably bring back tourism to normals. Also, we could get back the money that was lost in the last 2 years. As I said earlier, these innovative ideas. This is just one such idea that gives 20% extra income. Imagine there are hundreds and thousands of ideas which can be actually brought up. So likewise, if such ideas are put up, probably within a couple of years or so, we could have a compensation for the same.
Thank you, Minister. We'll move on to the next question. Question 113, Mikhail.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Will the Honorable Minister of Health be pleased to state whether they accept it was a failure on the Health Ministry's and the ruling party's part, how the second wave was handled, and how well prepared we are to tackle the third wave?
Honorable Minister of Health.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, first I would like to start my answer by thanking and congratulating the health workers, especially the doctors, nurses, the medical staff and the sanitation staff for their exemplary work in handling the first and the second wave of the pandemic. Honorable Speaker, Madam, I would like to refute to the statement that the member of opposition has raised that the government has failed in handling the second wave. There was an unexpected surge in the new daily cases of about 62% of the total cumulative infections during this time. This was more than the expected rate predicted in the last 2 months. Still, the government has taken various measures to have the precautions to be taken of the indigenous vaccination drive that was started by our Honorable Prime Minister at 16 January as a protective measure. The frontline workers were given the shots of the first dose so that we can tackle the lack of manpower that might arise during the second wave. The second was that the central government has advised the state governments for going on a localized and micro containment zone based lockdown. This was advised during the start of the pandemic at February month itself. Also, government has taken various measures like facilitating duty-free imports, that is reducing the basic customs duty, health cess and IGST over the number of COVID-19 relief materials such as remdesivir injections and various other important medical equipments that are required. Also, for the import of oxygen from various other countries as well as from the industrial regions of within the country, we have taken various measures for speedier transportation of oxygen to the required areas. Also, many oxygen concentrators and medical grade oxygen suppliers were speeded up to the essential areas like Delhi, Maharashtra and Uttar Pradesh, which have faced a oxygen shortage, the so-called oxygen shortage at the point of time. If we take the second point of the question which was stated by the member, they have asked for the measures that are taken by the government to tackle the present third wave. We are in the middle of the third wave. So I would like to say that the government has approved a new scheme called as India COVID-19 Emergency Response and Health System in its phase 2 of around rupees 23,123 crores in the last financial year to accelerate the health system preparedness after the second wave. New oxygen plants were inaugurated within 3 months by the Prime Minister in various states including Jharkhand and Kerala. Vaccination policy has been speeded up on a rapid phase where we had to appreciate the healthcare workers for its extensive reach. Around 67.6% of the people, as per the data yesterday, have been vaccinated with the first dose, and around 50% of the people, it's a record margin within the 1 year, 50% of the Indian population has been vaccinated with a full coverage of 2 doses. And as we have started the booster dose in the earlier of this month, around 0.6% of the people, that is the essential population, the frontline workers and the old age people, have been vaccinated. The revolutionary step taken also by the Prime Minister's advice of over 60% of the children of 15 to 18 years were vaccinated as per the data of last week. So these are the measures that are taken to tackle the third wave.
Madam Speaker, I would like to exercise my right to reply.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. I would like to thank the Minister of Health and Petroleum for naming all the schemes introduced by our ruling party, which are mostly not implemented. There is a problem with the ruling party with implementation all the time. Every scheme is introduced but never implemented. We have seen the failure of the ruling party, the failure of the Ministry of Health, and the Minister of Health has the gall to sit here and say that there was no failure on the part of the Ministry of Health, even though there was a catastrophic failure of the medical infrastructure of our country. There was a supposed lack of oxygen in Uttar Pradesh, but I'm sorry to say, but there were 2 lakh deaths to refute your claim. There have been so many people suffering from the due to the second wave, and the Minister of Health and Petroleum can sit there and say that none of that even happened because we've done this to repair for all, to make up for all that. There has been no reparation, no remuneration, no there has been no band-aid applied to the people who have lost their family due to the failure of the Ministry of Health, due to the failure of the ruling party, due to the ignorance that they have shown towards the medical infrastructure of our country, consisting of 1.37 billion people who are dependent on that medical infrastructure. I am sorry to say that we are sitting over here in the midst of such people who refute that there have been no deaths at all, that there wasn't a failure on the part of them. They cannot take responsibility at all for the failure of the second wave. And for the third wave, let's hope those schemes come to life. Let's hope those schemes are implemented, because last time, I'm pretty sure the number of schemes that were introduced by our beloved Prime Minister, they haven't been implemented. But let's hope for a miracle, shall we? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. The Minister, would you like to clarify more upon it?
Honorable Speaker, Madam, can I answer to the points that are raised by the member of opposition?
Permission granted.
Thank you, Madam. Madam, first of all, I would like to state that the pandemic, as I have stated in the starting itself, it has taken an unexpected surge. Even WHO or ICMR couldn't predict such a big surge of cases on daily load, especially in the February and March months. Yes, I would like to say on the part of the government that we are also deeply concerned over the deaths that have happened during COVID-19, but the numbers that are stated by the member of opposition are completely exaggerated. It is not as per the data that was given by the government. So I need not refute to the statement that was made on that. I would also like to add certain more points on our government's consideration over medical infrastructure. We had opened the highest number of medical colleges across the country. Even recently, Tamil Nadu had an opening of around 11 colleges within a year, and Uttar Pradesh had been given 9 colleges within a year. So this is also a measure towards improving our medical infrastructure. As I have stated, after the second wave, we have opened many oxygen plants, and we have also given approval for the states to go upon for building and constructing oxygen plants. We had taken also timely measures like going with the demand of the remdesivir, and also taking many immediate measures at that point of time, like stopping the export of the remdesivir medicine, and also increasing the import that was required to fulfill the sudden demand that happened after the end of January. We had taken all precautionary measures like vaccination, as I have stated earlier, to tackle this issue.
Ma'am, can I please exercise my right to reply once more?
It's granted.
Thank you. As I hope the House has witnessed again how the ruling party does not like to take responsibility for their actions at all. They do not like to accept that there may have been some mistake on that part, because obviously there is no mistake on that part. Constructing new medical colleges and saying that we have done everything in our power to handle the situation. Let me remind this House, and let it be a reminder to the whole country, that our beloved Prime Minister made a speech in January that we have handled the COVID situation very, very well. and we will not see a second wave, and we are well prepared even if there is. And 2 weeks later, after the speech being made on Man Ki Baat, but our Prime Minister does not listen to the Man Ki Baat of the citizens. He will say whatever he wants to. He made that speech, and 2 weeks later, the second wave hit like a hurricane, like a tsunami, took over the whole country, and we were the talk of only of the town, we were the talk of the world as to how we failed. And yet, the Minister of Health and Petroleum is sitting there and defending his position, the position of the ruling party, saying that we made every single preparation for the second wave. The second wave took an unexpected turn. There were indications by health experts, by opposition party members, that the second wave will hit and it will be nothing like we've ever seen before. And the Prime Minister addressed those health experts and said that the experts had said that India will suffer a lot due to the COVID pandemic. And lo and behold, the Prime Minister's words came back to bite him. He had to swallow his own words when the second wave hit, because nothing, let me tell you, nothing was done in order to prevent the second wave or even tackle the second wave. These are only empty words. Inauguration of medical colleges did not help the second wave. The vaccination drives after the second wave did not help the second wave. These were only ways to cover up their mishap. These are only ways to cover up what they have not done, and that is leaving the people
Honorable Speaker, Madam.
Hands. And the truth and the fact of the matter is that the Prime Minister did not address the nation once after the second wave hit. Not once has he said that he regrets how his government handled the situation. And the Minister of Health said that they are concerned over the deaths. They're not grieving over the deaths of their own citizens who entrusted the vote to them, put them in power, and they're only concerned about it. It is shameful, I tell you. It is shameful to be sitting here in the same house as the people from the same ruling party.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, can I answer to the allegations that are made by the opposition?
Can the ruling party give explanation, please?
Yeah, sure, ma'am. Ma'am, first of all, I would like to state few things very clearly, that government has taken precautionary and so the very essential measures for handling second wave. We are not out of the stand as part of our government. And second, I am very overwhelmed over the concern that was raised by the honorable member over the second wave management and Prime Minister's words. I would like to state very clearly that the vaccination drive had been started at that point of time only for the frontline workers. It was not expanded to the public, the general public at that point of time. So it was a precautionary measure to handle the lack of manpower that might arise due to this. We have not said that we are not going to expand it for general public due to some other reason. It was as a precautionary measure for this concern. And second, the honorable opposition member, as their role it is, they are opposing the Prime Minister over his or her words. But madam, I would like to state that if you take the data that was given by the authenticated organizations, it was not predicted. It was not predicted that it might go to this extent. You are saying that the opposition members are predicted, but madam, this is a system that can function based on certain principles and certain organizations that are responsible for giving us data, and that data has been duly taken and precautionary measures have been taken. And third point is that, madam, the opposition member has told that the vaccination drive at the starting was literally a waste. I would say that it was the dramatic step that was started by India to vaccinate its 130 crore people with 2 doses. So it cannot happen in one day or one night. It had taken its due time to travel, and it has achieved its maximum. We had taken 2 policy stands during that time due to the concerns that were raised by the states itself. So I don't think that the government has been on a lack in handling the second wave, madam.
Madam Speaker, I'd like to only make a closing statement.
And I would like to add one more point for the reference of the opposition is that even at that point of time, we had our medical infrastructure on its boat to handle this, though the situation was hyped, I would say, but the medical infrastructure that was present at that point of time was on its high heels. If the opposition is on its way to degrade the medical system at that point of time, I'm sorry to say the medical workers who had worked day and night are being dragged to this house on shame if this happens by the opposition.
Ma'am, I would like to make a closing statement.
Yes.
As we have seen, as the House has witnessed over here, the desperate nature of the reply given to the speech made by myself, the desperation in trying to defend the failure, which is a failure. A failure is a failure is a failure is a failure. That cannot be refuted, that cannot be defended, that cannot be said that it's anything else. The House functions not only by the ruling party, but also the opposition party. So if you're not going to consider the opposition's views, the opposition's warnings about matters of national importance, then there is no need for an opposition party. There is no need for democracy in our country, because our country is ruled by a tyrannical government, isn't it? I would like to state that this is a democracy. Let us uphold the foundations of our democracy. Let us listen to our opposition leaders when they have something to say, and then take good counsel and move forward. The precautions taken by giving the vaccinations to the
Honorable
healthcare.
Speaker, madam, I would like to refute the statement if permission is granted.
My dear parliamentarians, please maintain the decorum.
And I would like to conclude saying that the healthline workers are respected. What we were actually talking about was the medical infrastructure. There is a huge difference. I hope the Minister of Health and Petroleum will know that there is a difference between infrastructure and healthcare workers and the healthcare system, which is their responsibility to take care of. And that was a failure on their part. Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Honorable Speaker, madam, can I make a closing statement on behalf of the government?
Sure, go on.
Ma'am, give me 1 minute. I would like to conclude by stating that we are still clear on our stand that government has taken all suitable measures, and I didn't mention anywhere that the opposition's views were not considered that were made in the parliament. The opposition's views which were made to the press and overhyped over the political reasons cannot only be considered because we have high standard institutions that give us data for taking the precautionary measures on part of the government. Individual statements cannot always be encouraged on part of the government.
This point is not accepting his failure. Even my state has been affected badly by the second wave of COVID. Still the minister is not accepting his failure. He's just defending his point.
Members, please maintain the decorum.
Madam, I have not completed my statement.
Petroleum from the ruling side.
The decorum have to be maintained.
Thank you, Speaker, madam. I would like to conclude that I am deeply happy that the members of the House are deeply concerned over the functioning of the ministry as well as the government of the second wave. But I would like to conclude that the Prime Minister, the government, and the Ministry of Health on its part have taken all precautionary measures, including imposition of the lockdown.
Thank you.
The imports and the requirements of the medical infrastructure at that point of
Minister? Thank you, Minister. We'll go on to the next question. Question number 114, Joshua.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. My question is, will the Ministry of Finance please to state that the central government has a due in GST compensation for many states, including our state Karnataka, of rupees 11,400 crores, which has been agreed by the ruling party to be paid in installments. Till now, no installments have been credited to our state, and there were many states are waiting for their compensation to meet their COVID-19 and also the other expenses. So what is the ruling party's planning to do with it? To be mentioned that the ruling party has collected the gross collection of direct tax of rupees 10,080. To be mentioned 10,80,000 crore rupees have been collected in the name of direct taxes by the central government as a name of CGST. So kindly, I need an answer from the ruling party. Thank you.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, I'd like to answer for the question for not 114.
Yes, you can proceed.
I had already given a justification to Tamil Nadu as to why there have been arrears in GST compensation to the state. The center does not owe different states for different reasons the GST compensation. I therefore suppose I don't have to give a separate justification for Karnataka and the other states. If there is one thing I'd like to mention, it's the fact that no state has experienced a delay in GST compensation ever since the introduction of GST prior to the pandemic. The center had agreed to pay in installments solely due to our commitment to all the states and the inadequacy of funds due to the pandemic. To provide Karnataka with a very rough figure, the provisional GST dues stood at 51,798 crore after financing rupees 2.7 trillion of the GST compensation dues to the states by the way of debt, as I had mentioned earlier. It was a risky decision for the center at such a point in time when situations were very uncertain because of the pandemic. Therefore, we hope the pandemic subsidizes and it mitigates in the near future that we will experience a steady economic recovery in order to pay back the states their dues without any delay. And I request the states to empathize and harmonize with the center as much as the center does with the states. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. We'll move on to the next question. 117, Maria. Maria?
Yes, ma'am. Will the Ministry of Environment and Labour please to state that the Brahmaputra and Barak River, with more than 50 number of tributaries, feeding them causes the flood devastation in the monsoon period each and every year. So last year, 56 lakh people have been affected due to flood and also erosion. What are the measures you have taken so far, and what are you going to do for the upcoming years?
Honorable Minister of Environment and Labour.
Respected Speaker, Madam, I would like to answer the question number 117. Will the Minister of Environment Labour please to state that the Brahmaputra and Barak River, with more than 50 numbers of tributaries feeding them, causes the flood devastating in the monsoon period each year? Last year, 56 lakh people have been affected due to flood and erosion. What are the measures you have taken so far, and what are you going to do in the upcoming years? So for this, the flood control activities in Assam started mainly after the announcement of national water policies. Subsequently, outlined planned for flood control in Assam, along with comprehensives were prepared, and the areas which needed immediate actions were sorted out and were given to us. Till date, Water Resource Department has taken up works primarily for general development of rural sectors and protection of major townships. In both Brahmaputra and Barak Valley, schemes has also been taken up to revive drainage congestion in cities and important areas. Few of the points which we have done till now, I would like to mention that we have constructed embankments and flood walls. It's around 100 kilometers. And then anti-erosion and town protection work, drainage improvement, river channelization with PROS siltation devices, flood forecasting and flood zoning. Central government has also given grants for flood management. Government has given 1,701 crore to 5 states which were affected by the flood last year, out of which Assam was the highest beneficiary, receiving 437 crore for flood relief. We have also constituted we have also constituted Northeast Water Management Authority to find out a permanent and long-term solution to deal with flood and erosion. So this what we have constituted will later on give us the information, and we will tackle with the problem for once and all. Thank you.
Hello, am I audible? Hello?
Yes, madam, you are audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Next question, Sarah.
Thank you, Speaker Madam. Will the Minister of Defense be pleased to state whether there is a distorted independence of the Indian judiciary as to why a system of dynasty of patronage and oligarchy is found within the appointment of High Court and Supreme Court justices, and only a particular caste or class gets represented from the country? Even by its poor track record in the recent years, the judiciary has added several new pages of economy to its name, letting down those who face the government's disregard for constitutional morality and legality. Pendency of cases, corruption, lack of transparency, under trails of the accused, lack of information among people and court, etc., are some oblivious, degrading conceptions that run out in our country. Requesting the Honorable Minister to emphasize the issue.
The Minister, please.
Madam Speaker, I would like to answer to the question. But before that, sorry to inform, it won't come under the category, it won't come under the Ministry of Defense, it will come under the Ministry of Law and Justice. And I would like to
I asked the opposing party to kindly bear with this condition. We'll be giving a written report in 2 or 3 days. We can move on to the next question if possible. The speaker can make this pass the situation forward.
Moving on to the next question, 120, Bhavani.
Will the Minister of Personnel or Public Grievance and Pension pleased to state if the Prime Minister of the country has to cancel all his programs owing to the grave security breach while he visited Punjab on 5th January for a public meet, what would be the plight of the ordinary people living in Punjab? Does the ruling party manage to improve the condition of the state?
The minister, please.
Actually, I was landed at Wednesday morning, and from where I was going to the National Martyrs Memorial by helicopter. Due to the rain and poor visibility, I waited for about 20 minutes for the weather to be clear out. When the weather didn't clear out, it was a sudden plan that to visit there by road. It would take more than 2 hours, around 30 kilometers away from the National Memorial. When my convoy reached a flyover, it was found that the bridge was broken, blocked by the protesters. I was stuck on a flyover for 15 to 20 minutes. I agree that this was a major lapse in security of the Prime Minister. But my schedule and the travel plan was communicated well in advance to the Punjab government as per procedure. They have to make necessary arrangement for the logistic security as well as to keep the plan ready. And I ensured that this will not happen ever again to any of the people.
Madam Speaker, follow-up question, please. Sorry, ma'am.
Permission granted.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Respected, will the Honorable Prime Minister please state how there was such a huge security lapse when there will always be two routes, given the situation that there could be no airlift, that there could be no helicopter dropping off the honorable prime minister as always. This time he had to use the road. But even in roadways, there will always be two routes that will be prepared by the security personnel. How is this not a huge play just to undermine the authority of the Punjab government? How is this not just a publicity play to prove that the Punjab government was a threat to national security? And why was the media supporting all this and trying to connect it to some grand conspiracy by Pakistan infiltrating Punjab? And then the prime minister tweeted saying that, thank your chief minister that I've reached the airport safely. Is this the way a prime minister of a country is supposed to behave? Was this not all just a huge, smoke and glass show to show that the Punjab government is hostile towards the national interests of the national interests?
As I mentioned earlier, there was no proper protection, and there was yes, and the climate was not proper at that time, as there was protest going on. That is not safe as a prime minister to travel in that route.
Madam, I would like to exercise my right to reply.
You're granted.
Thank you, madam. The Honorable Prime Minister has said that, oh my God, there was only one route, we couldn't go. There was a lack of communication. And mostly, the security personnel is supposed to send out a scouting envoy to find out whether the road is clear in advance. And if that procedure was followed, this wouldn't have happened in the first place. There was always a secondary route. So how can anything be connected to the traffic or the protesters protesting? Protesters will protest, obviously, with the way how the ruling party has run the country. It is going to protest. People are going to protest. The thing was how the prime minister was going to handle such a simple situation, and the failure on the part of the prime minister and the security personnel to handle such a simple problem shows how they can't handle huge problems. Isn't that right, Honorable Prime Minister?
So I said that they were communicated well with the chief minister of the state. As of sudden, there was a climatic condition and climatic changes that I waited for 15 to 20 minutes already, that I've stated earlier. So this was not at all my fault, and I did my job as much I can do.
The Minister of State, please.
Respected Speaker, can I, as the Minister of Road Transport, can I support Prime Minister?
Granted.
So, the Punjab government, it is an incident actually. So, and the utmost priority given to this situation right now is the safety of Prime Minister. The Prime Minister is a very big asset for the country, and he has to take care of all the responsibilities. So the utmost thing, the top priority thing for now is the Prime Minister's safety. So it was discussed, and the Prime Minister was returned back to the airport. And the side when we look from the perspective of Punjab government, surely it is the situation is bad right now as a protest, and it is a normal thing that the protesters are coming against the security and all those transport things. So this is a situation and the incident, it happened, and the Prime Minister was safe and was returned back, and Prime Minister thanked the media and the government with the personnel that the Prime Minister is safe. So that's what is happened, and that is, we are thankful for the situation that there is no much conflicts or consequences. There is not much negativity around here. The situation was smooth, and the safety of the Prime Minister was top priority. So he was returned. It is not that the Prime Minister wasn't going to handle these things. It was a hot time over there, and the Punjab government, since it is an election, there will be a lot of the media thinks like Prime Minister is going to brainwash the people or something like that. Since there is an election, it was a very smooth and professional move from the Prime Minister's team of him returning to Delhi. Over to the speaker, ma'am.
Madam, I would like to exercise my right to reply again.
Permission granted.
Thank you, madam. The taxpayers' money, which was spent 12 crores for our beloved Prime Minister's new Mercedes Maybach S650 Guard, was not enough to take care of our Prime Minister. Was it not enough to send a advance envoy? Was it not enough to know whether there were protesters on the bridge, which has only one entry and one exit? Was there no way to know that a person carrying a BJP flag is going to cross over to the other side where the Prime Minister's envoy is going to be there? A BJP supporter, a BJP party worker, was a threat to the Prime Minister himself. It's a wonderful way to flout the claims that our Prime Minister did not have any ulterior motives to doing such a huge publicity stunt. This is what it is. It is a publicity stunt to just show the whole country. And our beloved chief ministers from UP, our external affairs minister, have all said that Punjab should apologize to the nation for endangering such a great asset to our country. Our asset to our country was guarded by around 20 people. He was guarded by a car which was indestructible. And yet you had a security issue. The whole point about the envoy being stopped and the Prime Minister going back was his ego. Let's be very honest. He couldn't wait 15 minutes on top of the bridge for the road to clear up from by the protesters. The road was being cleared up cleared of the protesters, but he couldn't wait for 15 minutes. It was something to see. The way the Prime Minister acted after coming to the airport also was something that straight out of a drama. As people from the other opposition party who make up the other opposition party rightly have named themselves Dramo. Seriously, Drama Modi, nothing else. There is nothing to show for the work of the Prime Minister of the ruling party other than a smoke and glass show.
Listen to me again.
Thank you, madam.
Since I started,
Ma'am, the decorum has been not followed. The opposition party has been mentioning a political party's name as well as a person's name against the parliament mentioning.
I'm sorry, madam. There was no breach of procedure. There was no party name being taken. The party name was the opposition party's name, and the opposition party's name was only expanded upon. No individual's name was taken.
Obvious. It was very obvious that you mentioned BJP flag and things like that. So I want to explain this thing, like the Prime Minister's vehicle is very secure. It is very safely secured. But according to the guidelines, if there is a person coming in front of the way of a Prime Minister's vehicle, he has to be shot dead there by the bodyguards themselves. So it is a very wise move that Prime Minister didn't want any violence. He just returned back. All the personnel there has orders for if there is a threat to the Prime Minister, if there is any kind, since the protesters were holding BJP's flag, they can't be clearly BJP supporters. There are a lot of things happening these days since you held the BJP flag. So I am not answering for the real itself. So Prime Minister Modi, he returned back. It was from my perspective.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Minister. We'll move on to the next question.
Yeah.
Question number 121, Joshua.
Madam Speaker, I would like to answer Miss Sarah's question.
No, we are moving on to the next question. Question number 121, Joshua.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And my question is, will the Minister of Youth Affairs please to state that one of the major and a basic problem in our country and also in our state, Karnataka, during this unspecified pandemic was unemployment and underemployment, creating a chaos down the line to tending towards the criminal and illegal activities among the youngsters and also the rapid increase in the poverty ratio. And the main cause of this is that the ruling party schemes and programs haven't reached the needy people, and also the people doesn't have the proper ideas about the schemes, and there was no proper checkup about the after the announcement of the program and whether it is completed or not. Can you please ask the minister to explain this? Thank you.
The members are requested to maintain the decorum. Everyone, please listen. You people cannot use the name of real person and party names cannot be used here. I request everyone to follow the rules hereafter. The minister can answer.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, I would like to answer to this question. Major reason behind the improper implementation of government schemes and policies are: point number 1, due to lack of coordination between center and the state government during pandemic period. Point number 2, due to lack of awareness among youth and public. And in order to counter these issues, the steps taken should be: number 1, the schemes can be tailor-made as per the local conditions. There is a need of better coordination among the center and state governments, and the customized policies may work better than homogeneous ones in some steps. And there is a need of better coordination among private entities, communities, civil societies, NGOs, and government in implementing a public policy in order to improve the quality and effectiveness of a policy or scheme. Point number 2, conducting workshops and seminars in both government and private schools and colleges in order to inform students, youth, teachers and parents regarding various schemes and policies of government and the benefit that they can avail for their economic and social well-being. Training centers and workshops should be organized in villages and for the unemployed people to enhance their skills in order to transform from unskilled to skilled laborers. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Any supplementaries?
I have a supplementary question to the Health Minister. Shall I?
Permission granted.
Will the Health Minister please state this? The daily COVID cases are rising in our state. What all we need is more facilities such as extra oxygen and supplies and ventilation facilities, and also the compensation that help us to take a needful measure. Will the government provide a more compensation that help us to take a needful measure at a rightful time with efficiency? How the government going to address this problem?
Madam Speaker, may I know the state which the opposition member is representing?
Maharashtra.
Thank you so much. Yes, government is taking due measures. Even the central council of the members present, the secretaries, along with the union health secretary, have been sent to 10 states, including Maharashtra, to assess the needs and the facilities that are required for the states. And adequate financial funding will also be provided at due time for the state as per the request of the state government. Yes, honorable members' consideration will be taken over, and the required funds and the equipments will be given at due point of time.
Now the question hour is over. No more supplementaries, please.
Madam Speaker.
The question hour is over. No more supplementaries, please. Now let's move on to the call and attention motion. Now let us move on to calling attention motion.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I beg to call the attention of the Honorable Minister of Home Affairs to the following matters of public importance, and I request that they make a statement thereon. The rise in domestic violence cases due to the lockdowns throughout the country, the publication of violently provocative articles and posts on social media made to divide the people of India and pit them against each other, and the rise in hate crimes committed against the minorities of India.
Yes, the Honorable Minister, please.
Honorable Speaker, I would like to mention Article 19(1)(a) of the Constitution of India states that all citizens shall have the right to freedom of speech and expression. So people of the country are well known about it. People who are making fun of big leaders are also being arrested, and it's applicable for every Indian. So law is equal for all, and severe action will be taken. Adding on to that, the violation of social media actions are also being taken into the cybercrime.
Madam, I would like to exercise my right to reply.
Permission granted.
Thank you, madam. The Minister of Home Affairs has stated a very controversial point. Now, the thing about the national security is that this is not the freedom of speech. Let us not confuse freedom of speech with hate speech. Once there are hate speech starts, then there's always a sort of a substitute for freedom of speech. It cannot be entertained. The ruling party has to condemn hate speech. Has to condemn hate speech on every single opportunity that they get. But unfortunately, we have not seen that happening. We have not seen any condemnation on the hate speeches being made in our country. Social media has been flouted by the number of provocative posts inciting violence against minorities in India, and yet that comes under freedom of speech. But making fun of political leaders and leaders of our country somehow comes under the infringement. Comes under the anarchy of free speech. That goes beyond the limit of hate speech, which is not even a matter of national security, to be honest. And the Supreme Court has made it clear in one of the previous judgments that people need to have something called the right to laugh. Obviously, it was not a part of the judicial document, but it was a comment made by the Supreme Court, which is admissible. And another thing is that satire is being choked under the guise of national security and giving respect to leaders. But the thing is, there is nothing against satire in our country, since we are such huge patrons of free speech, which is advocating hate speech. Then we can definitely advocate satire. Thank you, madam.
The minister.
Yeah. Actually saying that we didn't condemn, we are condemning, and it's very own example what happened in the party just now. We condemn the actions of hate speeches and making shame of leaders and politicians. So he's saying that we are not condemning, we are condemning.
Madam, I would like to reiterate.
As the minister, can I supplement the data?
Ministry of Health.
Thank you, madam. Madam, I would like to answer the concern that was raised by the honorable member of opposition on behalf of the government. Yes, the government has taken certain steps in stopping these hate speeches. The state which was concerned was Uttarakhand. The Uttarakhand police have filed an FIR over the people who have provocated hate speech against any community. And also the laws are very clear over the same. The IPC sections of 158 also states the same. And also the state government of Chhattisgarh also has seen such an incident happening 2 days after the incident that happened in Uttarakhand. And the Chhattisgarh police have also taken an action against those making this hate speech. Also, after the issue was taken to the Supreme Court has ordered, we are seeking an independent probe into the hate speech, and the report will be duly considered by the government after the Supreme Court takes the issue. The issue is now with the Supreme Court, so the government cannot actually answer over this.
Madam, I would like to exercise my right to reply, please.
Permission granted.
Thank you, madam. Here, the Minister of Home Affairs clearly stated that the politicians, making fun of politicians, people have been arrested. Again, not a matter of national security at all. It's not a matter of national security. What is a matter of national security is the groups being made that make these hate speeches. Now, the main accused are obviously under scrutiny of the law. Unfortunately, what the government is failing to do is outlawing the entire group and giving it a label of spreading terror and disrupting the internal harmony of the nation, which is a failure on the part of the Minister of Home Affairs, because their topmost responsibility, their topmost duty is to take care and maintain the internal harmony of the country, which is also a matter of national security. Madam.
The minister, please.
As they already mentioned that actions are being taken and the law and order are working on it. So I think the opposition party must be knowing about this.
Madam,
Thank you,
closing
Minister.
statement, madam.
Yes.
Closing statement.
Yeah, you can go on.
We all know how the ruling party works. We all know. If they say we are doing our work, then you should know. It is not good news. They are doing their work. Obviously, they are going to do their work. If they stop doing their work, then we are in trouble. If they do their work also, we are in trouble. So the whole point in this is, if the ruling party is going to outlaw these groups, these right-wing groups, let's be honest, right-wing groups, and call them terror groups, as long as they don't do that, they're going to be under the scrutiny of the people of India, and they're going to answer to the people of India very, very soon. It is inevitable. Their doom is inevitable. Their fall is inevitable. But as a citizen of a country which is secular, which is supposed to safeguard the people of their own country, their own minorities, I look at this situation where the ruling party says we are doing our work, you're supposed to know. It is a failure on the part of on the part of the ruling party, and is an insult to the democratic values that we hold in our nation. It is an insult to how we say that Sare Jahan se Achha Hindustan Hamara, and then we go on to say that we are doing our work, you should know, is really inadmissible. It is dissatisfactory. It is utterly distasteful to hear from a ruling party member, especially a person who is supposed to take care of the whole of the law and order of the whole nation. If we are going to depend on these sort of dignitaries, so-called dignitaries, we will not be able to move forward anywhere or even stay in the same position. We are going to slope down. Thank you, House. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, members. Now the House is adjourned to meet again at 2 p.m. Thank you.
Okay, I request all the participants to leave for now. You will be having 2-hour break, and we have shared the bill details with the respective people. So go through the bills and you guys can join in by 2 o'clock. Thank you.
Speaker, please, stay in this meet.
Okay.
ராணிக் எல்லாரும் போயிட்டாங்களாடா? ராணிக்
அண்ணா ஒரே நிமிஷம்ண்ணா,
போயிட்டு
நான் செக்
இருக்காங்க.
பண்ணிக்கிறேன்.
ஓகே
ஓகேண்ணா.
ஐ திங்க் காலர்.
அரவிந்த் பாய் இருக்கியாடா?
பாய் இருக்கேன். ரெக்கார்டிங் ஸ்டாப் பண்ணிடுங்க, நம்ம பேச ஆரம்பிச்சிடலாம்.
யா
ஒரு நிமிஷம், ஒரு
மறந்துட்டேன்.
நிமிஷம். ஓகே நான் ரெடி. ஓகே
guys, like எல்லாருக்குமே குடூஸ். என்னன்னா வேற லெவல்ல போயிட்டு இருக்கு. நம்ம நேத்து மாதிரி இல்ல, லைக் லிட்டரலி செமையா போயிட்டு இருக்கு. so far everything is good. நம்ம நல்லாவே பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கோம். and like thanks to the speaker யாசிகா, லைக் நல்லா கொண்டு போனேன்.
Thank you.
மூத்தா போயிட்டு இருக்கு.
நரேன் 1 செகண்ட்ரா.
சொல்றா.
லாஸ்ட்ல
யூடியூப்லயும் லைவ் ஆயிட்டு
கேக்கலடா.
நம்ம பண்றது யூடியூப்லயும் லைவ் ஆயிட்டு இருக்கோம்.
புரியல.